Okay, so the Oklahoma Sooners, they won, or as some of you are going to say, it was a disappointing win, 69-45 against TCU. But today I'm joined by Jay over at Unfair Sports. We're going to break this down for you and give you guys our thoughts. Jay, what's going on?
What's going on, PG? Excited to talk about this when I dropped my morning after on a Saturday. Felt weird to do that, but yeah, doing it on a Saturday. But good thing is it's still Saturday, baby. We got games coming up today, so let's get excited.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I woke up and I thought I was late for church. I had to remind myself
that's,
it
what,
was a
that's what it
Saturday.
feels like. Like, oh yeah, we ain't got a game today, do it. Oh, we played on Friday, which is also stupid in itself, but I digress.
Yeah, well, I was glad yesterday. We had our family Thanksgiving yesterday, so I got to watch the OU game at home, which is weird watching a home game at home because I don't watch home games. I go to the games, so it was weird for one. But to be able to go to Thanksgiving and then watch college football for the rest of the day, and then I've got a full slate on Saturday. It's going to be a good weekend. But Oklahoma, so they play Black Friday game and they beat TCU 69-45. And I'm not going to lie, on my instant recap video, there were quite a few people in the comments saying that this was a disappointing performance by the defense. And Oklahoma, honestly, the score could have been a little bit wider spread in the margin if the defense would have played a little better. And I think this is where we got to start the video because I've said it. I don't think you're there yet in terms of one, depth, but two, your offense can't stay on the field for a minute and 50 seconds and then expect your defense to be able to go out there and play at a high level every single snap. They're going to be worn down. They're going to be worn out. And we got competitive depth, but we're not that deep. So you look at TCU scoring 45 points, getting over 500 yards of offense, while Oklahoma still scores 69 and gets over 600 yards offense. What are your thoughts around the defense yesterday for Oklahoma? Because people aren't impressed.
Yeah, and I think people are silly to jump all over them like that. Look, the problem for the defense, put like this, and you made this statement, which was pretty good. If you're on the field for a minute and some change, you get the defense back out there. That it's not really complimentary football. I made that complaint last year. This year, it's not really that case, and I'm going to tell you why. We started the game off. We got them off the field. We was on the field about 2 minutes, 49 seconds, right? We go out there, and we score in 38 seconds. Then we get them off the field again in 6 plays. But the problem is we muffed the punt, which this is the one thing I did notice. Whenever we make silly mistakes like that, dropping, fumbling punts and stuff like that, the defense has a tendency of kind of being like deflated. Like, oh, we just did all this work. We got them off the field. All we needed was a 1 minute breather with 1 minute in game, which is like 7 minutes real time, especially once you add the timeouts and the clocks, blah, blah, blah. They got them off the field literally back to back. If we didn't force them to stay on the field, we went out there and scored another touchdown in that minute and 11 seconds. The score would be probably 21-0. And this defense would have been doing what they do. That punt ruined it. That's kind of what if you notice about this defense, that's when they kind of let up, is when we make those type of mistakes that throws them off of their plan, what they have in their mind. And so overall, I didn't really care in this game about what the defense was going to do. It didn't really matter. We were going to go out there and blow them out. We were going to go out there and be aggressive, and we were. I mean, at one point, listen to this, PG. At one point, we got them off the field on 4 straight possessions. 4 straight. And we scored 4 straight touchdowns afterwards. And those touchdowns were 155, 251, 209, and 211. And then we gave them a field goal, and then we went on a 5-minute run, and we put the score at 45-16. So at the half, the defense did it. It was the second half, right? That second half was just the interception. And like I said, the defense seems like they get deflated. But at the same time, we also started playing the younger players in the second half, too. I noticed that. If you notice, you saw Josiah Wagner out there playing at corner. You saw more Kip. You saw you saw some Peyton Bowen. He's got some run. You started to see more of the younger players playing too. I saw Jacoby Johnson getting a little bit of extra run. that also changes it when you get the young guys out there just, kind of just doing their thing. But I don't think the defense was just horrible. I would have liked us to not give up the 45 points, which is what we've been really good at. This is only our third game this season. We've allowed a team to score more than 30 points on us.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the defense has been pretty good this season. I just think you're at a point in the season, though, and I'd be curious to see the actual snap count for some of these defensive players, because I would imagine this is going to be like prior years where they're probably a game or maybe even two ahead of the offense. Because I think at one point when I was watching the game on TV, they said, I think Oklahoma, they had scored 14 points. TCU had gotten the ball back, and I think they said the TCU team has already ran 31 plays and Oklahoma had only did like 15. So it's like, I mean, at some point or another, your defense, it's going to catch up to them. And I get it. You're running some of the young guys, which I think you should at this point. You were up big and you got to get those guys more experience, more in-game experience. I mean, at the end of the day, the reps against TCU, they're not going to be the same as the SEC, but it at least gets these guys experience against an opponent that's actually trying to go out there and, score on them and, make them feel a little bit deflated. It's not practice. So right. I get it, but at the same time, I want people to understand that, hey, Oklahoma's defense played better than the scoreboard, I think, actually shows.
Yeah, and you got to remember, too, you're going against a Kendall Browse offense, which is, tempo. Literally, we went up against ourselves. Let's put it like that, right? Kendall Browse, the son of Art Browse, the brother-in-law of Jeff Lebby. We went up against ourselves. And this is what it looks like when you go against yourself. And that other thing, too, TCU brought in a lot of good transfer players from SEC schools. I mean, JoJo Earl was out there kicking our butt, and JoJo Earl was really good. Bama was upset losing JoJo Earl. He fell in the depth chart because of injury, and he went out there and looked like a really good player. And so outside of that, I mean, snap-wise, if Woody Washington played every snap in this game, that was – actually, we had 90 snaps total on defense. We played a lot of defense, right? Woody was the most at 84 with Stutzman right behind him at 83. Kendall Dobie at 79, Billy Bowman at 75, and then from there it's in the 50s. So we did a lot of rotating, like a lot of people play. We had 29 people take snaps. Hey, that's 2 full lineups on the defensive side of the ball. 2 plus an additional 7 players. We rotated a lot. Peyton Bowen got 35 snaps. When you look at that secondary, R. Mason Tomlin had 29. I mean, that's in the line. Josiah Wagner had 28. Jaron Kanik had 28. Key Lawrence had 21. Jacoby Johnson had 13. We played 29 players on 90 snaps.
Can't beat that.
Right? I mean, and that was my point in what I was saying in even my recap, that we just played a lot of people. And yeah, it didn't come out as optimal as we wanted. We would love to have shut down TCU like, Texas did to Tech, but we didn't care that much, right? This was more of a go out there, be aggressive, put a whole bunch of points on the board, and just win. I mean, you're up 45 to 16 at the half. I said we was going to win the game 42 to 17. We were up 42 to 16 at halftime. Right? Like,
I walked into halftime thinking, oh my gosh, this is gonna be a blowout. Like, it's not even gonna be close.
I mean, it's a 3-touchdown win. So
now in today's game of college football, it's 3 touchdowns.
4 scores. It was a 4-score game. We beat them by 24 points. That's 4 scores.
Okay, so that's a blowout.
Right.
Now 3 scores is 3 scores a blowout, because we've seen Oklahoma come back from 3 scores. And we've seen
because not everybody has that type of offense to be able to do that, right? Like, and that was my point with this game. Like, yeah, third quarter we gave up 22 points. Brutal.
Nobody has the offense to do that.
Not very many teams had that offense to be able to do that. Like us. It's my point.
I guess I'm thinking back to Colorado giving up 29 points to Stanford.
I mean, it's Colorado. We are not Colorado's defense.
No, we're not Colorado.
Efficiency rating, we're still top 25. That's just it, right? We're still efficiency overall. Like we've given up 30 points or more 3 times this season. Last year, we gave up that. We did that 6 times. The year before with Riley, we did it 7 times. 2000, we only did it like 3 times, but it was a condensed season. Of course, it's all Big 12 play. But 6 and 7 times in conference the last 2 years, and then this year we only do it 3. That's a flipping accomplishment, right? Like, isn't that, you don't think that's a big deal? I think that's huge. That shows growth.
People don't realize. So, and I said this last week, and I would love for you to correct me on this, because I was talking to, and you know who I was talking to. I was talking to one of our buddies about this, but I agree. I don't think the Oklahoma defense was as improved as we thought it was. Like, I think after the Texas game, we're saying this Oklahoma defense is just elite. And I don't think they're elite, but I don't think they're bad either. I think they're somewhere in between. But it's still year 2, and look at how well they're playing.
Yeah, you're right. It's never as good or as bad as you think it is. And I'll say I believe it's above average because when and this goes back to me pointing out the efficiencies and stuff, the big thing when it comes to advanced metrics, which a lot of people hate, they got to go off the eye test. I feel like the eye test is everything. But when you look at specific efficiencies, especially going against offenses that maintain themselves in the top 50 in the country on a regular basis for a conference, right? You know, Big 12's always up there as some of the top offenses in college football. For us to be in the efficiency rating in the top 30, that's a pretty darn good move in the second year of a system, right? Last year, we weren't in the top 30. We weren't in the top 25 last year. We weren't in the top 50. Honestly, I don't even think we were in the top 75. That tells you everything right there, PG.
Oh, we were in the hundreds.
We were awful in efficiency. Like, we were just giving up success rates. Our problem this year is we gave up too many big plays. And I get that. But at the same time, we did a really good job of keeping people from scoring.
Yeah. I mean, how many times
to me is
down
bigger
the goal line,
and they didn't score. Right.
Yeah.
We had one of the best red zone defenses in the country.
I think you probably could have had, 3 or 4? One of them was against you at UCF, where if Jaron Kanik doesn't make that stupid penalty, you have a goal line stop.
Coming into this game, we were number 14 in defensive efficiency on ESPN. SP Plus had us like 24. And you look at some of the other metrics, defensively, we look really, really good. That's something to hang your hat on, because what that tells you is that, yes, we need work. And this is the thing I've been trying to tell folks. Don't get it twisted. We still have a lot of work to do. But guess what's great about that is that we're seeing progress, right? We're seeing a change of guard. We're seeing progression forward, something that we did not see before.
Now, I'll say this. I think Oklahoma's defense next year can be elite if Billy Bowman and Danny Stutzman come back. And the reason why that is because you're going to have the 2023 recruits in their second year in the system. Then you're going to be cycling in elite 2024 guys that'll be their first year. So by the time Danny Stutzman, Billy Bowman, and some of these other super seniors at that point leave, you're going to have and Brent Venables' defense where the majority of your starters are all 2 years in the system.
Yep.
Whereas this year, you have a lot of 2-year guys, but it's not the majority.
Listen to this. Let me give you some of these stats before we walked into this game, and I'll get you the next one, the new ones, when we actually have all the games completed and we can say what the full season outlook looked like. Listen to this. Going into this game, third down rank in the country, we were 10 in the country. Red zone defensive rank 22nd, SP plus 24th, 14th in defensive efficiency going into this game, 20th in another defensive metric, 36th in success rate. PG, we were number 2 in power success rate ranking, as in we weren't allowing a lot of very short yardage conversions. Stuff rate was 2. We were doing everything you could imagine right to go for it. And this was all with young players, redshirt freshmen and sophomores. I mean, your veterans were what? Woody, Bowman, and Stutzman?
And you got Coe on the defensive line.
I don't count the defensive line in a Brent Venables defense for only one reason, is because everything's put on the linebackers, right? Like, their job is the defensive lineman's job is to just be in the way. The linebacker's job is supposed to fill the holes to where the D linemen get those tackles.
So
first,
yeah,
right?
Billy Bowman, Key Lawrence, Woody Washington.
Key really didn't play. Key really didn't start.
Key kind of lost his job after the after the Oklahoma State game.
Yes. So yeah, you got a lot more young players out there, right? You got Gentry on one side. You're playing more Kip and Kanik.
Would you count Kenai Walker as a young guy? Because he's
a sophomore.
Yeah,
he's a sophomore,
right?
He would count as young too because he's only been in the system for 2 years as well.
Okay.
So he hasn't seen a lot. He didn't play much, if I'm correct, at Louisville.
He's going to be good next year. He's going to be good next year.
I think he's going to be a good good person to be out there to place. Honestly, and I cannot wait to talk about this later. I don't want to muddy up this show too much, but talking about the depth chart next year in the secondary, it's going to be stupid. Like when you start adding Jacoby in there, who's a massive athlete with Peyton Bowen as well as Josiah Wagner. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have a lot of guys.
I think you got to wait to make that video till after you find out whether Billy's going or not.
Yeah, I think that one.
My deal
probably
is
make one pre-bowl game, probably make one after the bowl game. We figure out who's going to return. So yeah,
I'll be honest,
after the Senior Bowl.
In my opinion, if Billy Bowman's not a first 3-round pick, he's got to come back or maybe even a first 2-rounder, because if he comes back for another year and has the type of performance that he had again this year in the SEC.
See, the only problem you run into with that, in which you're not wrong. Let me preface that first. You're not wrong, because that is very true. The problem is potentially the expectation of him leading the Big 12 and the SEC in interceptions like he did the Big 12 this year and getting like 3 pick sixes, right? Like that's not something. I mean,
well, he doesn't have to get 3 pick sixes. Before. Let's say
even the turnovers too,
and he gets 5 interceptions next year.
Yeah.
It's possible, because he's going to be playing a lot of new quarterbacks, got a lot of blue blood out there.
Same thing with Peyton Bowen. So I think Peyton Bowen's going to be that guy that's going to be doing it too. So yeah, I mean, you're not. That's a good point. If he comes back, he has an opportunity.
Could he work himself into first round territory?
I'm gonna say no. I'll say no. I don't think he's first round material. Second round's not bad though for a safety. I think that he can be a second rounder, maybe third, and then work his way into taking somebody's starting spot. I could see him doing that.
Now,
I think that he's too underrated.
Now, Danny Stutzman, I think, could work himself into first round territory next year.
I don't, and I hate to say it, I don't see Stutzman working his way into first round. I don't see him as a Kenneth Murray, which so? you would think he'd have the capabilities, but he was left off the Butkus Award. That kind of told me everything I need to know.
Now, do you think that was because of the injury, or
it shouldn't be? He had almost as many tackles as everybody else on that list, if not more.
It's just Oklahoma hate, man. Nobody likes.
Oh yeah, that was 100% hate. That was 100% hate on Stutz. Stutz should have been on the semifinalist list, minimal, bare minimum.
Oh, well,
especially the way he's played.
You know what? I looked at a lot of those lists this year, and I know it's getting off topic, but I looked at a lot of those lists this year, and I said this is BS, because for the running backs, Devin Neal was left off the list for Blake Corum. Devin Neal.
I mean, we can make a whole show on that one too.
Yeah, I digress. That's it too. But no, I mean, getting back to the game, I think the defense played better than a lot of people think. I do think people should pump the brakes, though. This defense is not elite. They still have a lot of work to do. Next year, though, depending on who you return, which I think there's a good chance that, depending on their grades, you see them try to talk Danny Stutzman and Billy Bowman into coming back. Because if they come back in the SEC, I think you're one of the best defenses in college football next year. I think you have a way to work yourself into the top 10. I think one guy, though, on the defense that we're not talking about that plays really well for Oklahoma is Dejon Terry.
Oh, my God.
He guys, I think a lot of people forget he might not be back next year. Like, he could go if he wants to test the waters.
He does a really good job of just getting in the way. And that's just, you cannot.
I want you to imagine. Yeah. I want you to imagine right now a defensive line, and I'm going to go ahead and call my shot of David Stone, David Hicks, Dejon Terry. You've got Jaden Jackson, PJ Adebayor, R. Mason Thomas. I want you to think of that kind of defensive line for Oklahoma next year.
Could be special, man. I think Stone comes in and potentially gets
Just
a lot
just take
pressure.
Hicks out of the equation because he
Yeah,
ain't in the transfer
Stone.
portal yet. Just take him
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
That's still
Stone would be stupid good on this defensive line. You add him
Terry.
with him and Terry just next to each other. Yeah,
That's
because you put
scary.
Terry
I
at the
don't.
nose, and you put Stone at the 3. And then you have your edges. Yeah, yeah. You've got your 3-3-5 set up. Yeah, because you got a big dude that can just be in the way. That's the one thing a lot of people underrate is just the capabilities of being in the way. To where 2 guys got to get there and they both can't push you back because you're in the way. That makes it hard. And if your linebackers get their fits right, it makes it so hard for running backs to find a hole because there's no hole there anymore. It's stuffed up by that linebacker or just a big body. They're bumping into each other. It's so underrated.
Yeah, and I think it's important to get John Terry to return because Isaiah Coe's out this year, right?
Yeah, he's done.
Yeah,
He's done. But that's the thing that with this team and the way they played in this game, as we go back to this one, man, we've done a really good job of just being disruptive overall, especially on the defensive line. Like they're not getting the sacks like everybody else is getting. They're just disruptive. Teams know they got to get rid of the ball quick with us because they know that the linebackers are waiting to get knockdowns or picks. But they also know that they can pick on our linebackers. So that's kind of where everybody's focus has been. Next year, they won't be able to pick on the linebackers. You start picking on them, they're probably going to get turnovers. Look at what Stutzman did going from last year into this year, right? You know, that Iowa State game last year was the light bulb game for him. It was, oh, they're going to keep throwing it at me like this. So what do? Oh, I'm going to intercept it and run it back for a touchdown. That's what you need to keep doing. Yeah. I expect it next year from the young guys.
Now, talking about young guys, I think we got to go over to the offensive side of the ball because Jaden Gibson, he's a young guy, and he carried some TCU defenders into the end zone. And then Nick Anderson, my gosh, he is so good. And yeah, I'm excited to see him next year getting passes thrown by Jackson Arnold. He only had 4 catches for 97 yards, but I felt like he had more than that because I felt like every time I looked up, it was Nick Anderson catching the ball.
Yeah, he finished the season with 31 catches and 700 and something yards. I think he leads the nation in yards per catch, right? Like that's something to hang your hat on. That's huge for, let me go look at the average. Yeah, he leads the country at 23.39 yards per catch. Nick Anderson, 12 games, 31 catches, 725. Yeah, and 9 touchdowns. I wish he would have got 10. That's what I was hoping. He would have got his 10th touchdown. And that would have just solidified him as a force going into next year. He's going to be on the All-American list. 2nd, 3rd team, something. People are going to be keeping their eye on him because he was able to do that like just this year as a redshirt freshman. Yeah, imagine him next year, just like you said.
Oh, I'm imagining this wide receiver core next year in general because Jaden Gibson, over the past couple of weeks, again, I ask myself, Jeff Lebby, where has Jaden Gibson been all season? And then I look at Brennan Thompson finally getting he had 1 catch for 53 yards. This guy's, imagine Andrell Anthony and Brennan Thompson being able to cycle out each other with deep threats. I did the calculations. Brennan Thompson next year can be a 500-yard wide receiver, only catching 1 catch a game.
Yeah, he can. He can easily. He gets 50-yard catches every single game. So you would have Andrell and Brennan switching as either your X or Y, X or Z on the outside, your X outside guys. It'll be either Brennan or it would be Andrell as long as he comes back, healthy and good, which I expect him to. He's still young. Then you'll have Nick Anderson, Jay Gibson switching out on the other receiver. And depending if Farouk comes back, that's your slot guy. You put Farouk there. You throw in a little Petaway, Petaway get some burn and go from there. It's next year's wide receiver room has proven that it's definitely our strongest room. Running back's going to be good too because, Sawchuk got his, fourth straight 100-yard game. We had Tyree Walker do well.
Did you see who got a carry in that game?
Megwa. We got a Megwa sighting on top of Javante Barnes. So when you see Megwa get out there, and I tell people all the time, man, that dude's huge. He's 6 foot 207. He don't look 207. That dude looks 230. He's yoked. And he's getting healthy. Because he'll be considered a redshirt sophomore next year. They'll probably redshirt him this year since he only got one game, one run. Yeah.
And he's already transferred once, so the likelihoods that he transfers out, not likely, because he'll have to sit a year. So
Yep. Yeah, because he walked on here.
Yep.
And so I can see him earning himself a spot similar to Tywee. Now, granted, there's the conversations have been the expectation is Tywee's gone. He's probably going to transfer out because he could start somewhere, which, to be honest, I get it.
You want to know a place where Tawee Walker reminds me of, like, and I know people don't want to hear this, but I'll give you 3 guesses. A school where Tawee Walker fits the best in terms of the way that they run the ball. Like, in terms of running backs they produce, Tawee Walker fits it.
Big Ten Conference?
SEC.
He's an SEC school. That's a good question.
I feel like I'll say it, and then you'll get it.
Hold a second. Power runners. I mean, honestly, that could be like Arkansas. That can be, I'm going down the list.
High profile.
So it's a higher profile school. I don't know. Who would you guess?
Alabama.
No, I don't see it.
I see. To me, I look at him and I go, "This is an Alabama-esque type running back."
I don't see it. I don't see him as a Bama back because he's not fast enough for what they do. Like Derrick Henry still runs a 4.5, right? You know what I'm saying? So I know I get what you're saying.
Though. He's a freak of nature,
right? But that's my point. Like Brian Robinson still ran a 4.4, I think 8. Like those bigger backs for them that run like that. Nah, I see him. He's a Big Ten running back. That's a Blake Corum. He's a Big Ten back, and I would totally see him do masterful things in the Big Ten, running down people's throat. Wisconsin, like a Ron Dane type setup. Now I don't think he's as good as Ron Dane, but I could see him being a power back in the Big Ten. That's what he's built for. SEC's getting a little too more finesse with elite defenses. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of where it requires some speed.
It's going to be interesting, though, because you're talking about Tawee transferring. It's going to be interesting to see who transfers out of this running back room for Oklahoma because it's so dang deep. And then you've got Xavier Robinson coming in. You've got Taylor Tatum coming in. You've got Caleb Hicks, who we haven't – I don't think – have we seen him once this season?
Hicks?
I know we've seen Smothers.
We've seen Smothers in 4 games. We've seen Hicks in 1. And Hicks ran a touchdown against Arkansas State.
So, yeah, I mean, this running back room is going to be so deep next year, you're going to lose maybe 1 or 2 guys.
Yeah, and that's the attrition you're going to have with the way that this team is built. So I can expect that. I'm curious, and we have to do another video on that so we don't get too far off the rails on it, because if we can talk all day on that. I do anticipate a lot of movement out of our rooms. I also see a lot of movement coming in. So if there's a chance we could lose a Caleb Hicks, we could get Tawee Walker to stick around. But I don't want to lose Hicks or Smothers. I think that there's something there for them long term.
I don't think we lose Smothers. I know some people are on the we're going to lose Smothers train. I don't see it.
I can see that. Yeah, I'm sold on Smothers staying. I'm sold on Smothers more than Hicks sticking around. But Hicks could start shopping. I mean, but they're both really good long-term projects.
And the thing is, I don't think Javonte Barnes leaves, guys. I don't see
Barnes.
Javonte Barnes knows he wasn't healthy. Everybody knows he wasn't healthy. He ain't leaving.
Yep.
Now, maybe next season, if he doesn't get the touches, being healthy, maybe next season you see him leave. But, but I mean, overall, you look at the up and down of the performance from this offensive room yesterday, and this kind of transitions into a totally different conversation. But does it feel like the past 2 games Jeff Lebby has been coaching for a job? Because I don't know, it feels like the play calling and the way that this offense has ran has felt, I mean, it feels like it's been almost 100%.
It feels like he recognized, I don't think he was coaching for a job. I think he recognized, though, that he needs to go ahead and just trust his players more, right? Like, I think that the come to Jesus conversation did happen, and with him and the offensive staff, and all of them said, look, just trust your position guys. Let the position guys do our thing, and let them say, let's make it happen. And We did. We got that. Like those 2 losses, by basically what's that, 8 points combined. We should have just been overly aggressive on the offensive side. Like overly aggressive. We're overly aggressive. We beat both of those teams no problem, especially Oklahoma State. That game, the jet sweeps is what killed us. We didn't need to run the ball. Just go deep. Keep throwing to Nick Anderson. Keep getting pass interferences. That's all you need.
It makes me mad because I'm not gonna lie, guys. Like I look at the pass interference call that was missed against Oklahoma State, and I go, if Oklahoma gets it, they probably win the game. I now though that it's been almost a month since that game's been played, and I sit back and I think about it more, and I've watched Texas. Guys, the Big 12 has tried to get Texas too numerous times.
And Texas won't let them.
Texas is just good. Like they're too good for the Big 12 to get them. That's what this has came down to. Like they have
they just
outrun like yesterday. They had a reason to go out there and tell Brett Yormark, yeah, here's my middle finger.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. They go out there and they just beat them. It's there's no need for conversation here. It's that we're not going to let them get the opportunity to, because we're going to take a big enough lead that when they try to do something at the end of the game, that it doesn't matter. What you need to do. The K-State game was a struggle for them. Well, Houston, K-State, TCU, back, 3 or 4 games, they basically made them work for that final win, and they did it. So, yeah. And then the Texas Tech game, Texas Tech is just terrible. So, yeah.
Man, and I know this is not Oklahoma, but I saw the video yesterday of what Texas did at the end of the game to Brett Yormark. Because, mind you, Brett Yormark was in the stadium.
The entire staff was there.
Listen, I am a Texas fan for that 5 seconds that they did that, because that was glorious. If you haven't seen it, go over to my Twitter and I have it retweeted, and I probably will pin it for a while because it was great. That literally is a middle finger to the Big 12.
Very much.
So, but no. So to wrap it up, I think it would be a disservice if we didn't talk about it. But we got to talk about the rumors of Jeff Lebby to Mississippi State. And seemingly yesterday, I was not a full believer in those rumors. 100%. I thought for Jeff Lebby to get his first head coaching job, to be an SEC head coaching job, it just seemed a little unrealistic. But it seems like it's the conversation is really heated up that Jeff Lebby could be the head coach of Mississippi State. You've got Zach Selman out there. For those of you who don't know, he's very tied into the OU program. He was here for a long time before he was the director of athletics at Mississippi State. And you look at Jeff Lebby and his offense that he runs, it's a very it's almost what you feel like college football is shifting to. And it feels like Mississippi State's maybe trying to get ahead of the game. They weren't able to get the head coach that they wanted, which I think was Dan Mullen. I think they wanted Dan Mullen back. I think that just wasn't going to happen. That was unrealistic. And you look at Jeff Lebby.
Mullen said he would come back.
Oh.
So they didn't want Dan Mullen.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, he said that in an interview. He was supposed to actually call the Egg Bowl, because ESPN took him off of it.
Because I know that Syracuse gave him a call. But regardless, I look at it and I go, if Oklahoma loses Jeff Lebby, I think you see the offense for the first time in a while take its first step back. I think for so many years we've looked at quarterbacks cycling out of the program, and we've said this is the year the offense takes a step back a little bit. And then we saw Lincoln Riley leave and Jeff Lebby come in, and we said, oh, it's going to take a step back. Jeff Lebby ran it just as fast as Lincoln Riley. I look at all the replacements and I just say, I'm not 100% confident any of these coordinators that could come in would run the offense as fast as Jeff Lebby or Lincoln Riley. So what are some of your thoughts about maybe Jeff Lebby taking the Mississippi State job, and who do you think would be a suitable replacement for Jeff Lebby?
I say I can see Lebby getting the Mississippi State game. It makes sense. It makes sense for him to get that job. That's one job I could see him getting. The other job I think he could get that would be a shocker probably for some people for me to say this. Oregon State. It looks like Jonathan Smith's potentially gone.
Yep.
You said he could go up there. in the Pac-2 conference, which that would be weird. You know, how
Mountain
would you
West.
do that?
It looks like they're gonna be part of Mountain West.
Well, they're gonna get the Mountain West to come join them, so they'll be back to Pac, the
Okay.
Pac conference with the Mountain West teams. But I can see him going up there, taking that, and yeah, you know, that will be an interesting job. But Mississippi State sounds right for him. You get him. Supposedly, he's putting together a staff. He's reached out and touched bases with some people to come join him, and supposedly his DC is potentially in place. I've been reading across the interwebs that he's the DC is already been
Arnett,
called.
baby.
Nope.
Like,
like that doesn't make any sense though. Like,
could you imagine?
in,
Could you imagine? Yeah, hey, we're gonna fire you as the head coach, but then we're gonna rehire you as the defensive coordinator.
He wouldn't come back because remember, he was just a decent coordinator, and the fact that they got rid of him after this season and even give him a fair shake, he ain't going back to
I will say though,
State.
if Jeff Lebby gets his job at Mississippi State, people better watch out because I've heard of some of these guys that could be on his staff. Just his O-line coach. I've heard Randy Clement's name be thrown out as his O-line.
Defensive coordinator, I heard DJ Durkin.
DJ Durkin would be interesting.
Yeah, it would be a very interesting one. Isn't he at A&M right now?
He is at A&M.
So, yeah. But you know what's funny? I'm not going to make that joke, but Durkin makes sense for Lebby. I'll just say that.
I texted you this, and again, I don't think it's going to happen, but it would be interesting to see if somehow, if Lebby ends up at Mississippi State during his tenure there, if Art Briles somehow ends up on his staff as an analyst, or I'm telling y'all, there will be a time and day where Art Briles gets a small job somewhere.
He will get an analyst job with somebody, and
yes.
His son-in-law is the perfect person.
It's only a matter of time until it happens. Things just have to. The thing is, it's just everything's got to die down with that situation, and it's getting to the point where how long are we removed from that? Almost 10 years.
Yeah,
like it's getting to the point now where there's going to be a lot of people that are going to start. It's not going to be as common where you see Art Briles' name thrown out there and then Twitter just blows up. It's not. It's at some point or another that whole situation is going to die down. And I see Jeff Lebby trying to make it. Also, I see Jeff Lebby taking advantage of Oklahoma not wanting Kel Gundy and saying, "Hey, maybe I bring Kel Gundy on my staff." Guys, Kel Gundy is a savant on offense. He knows the offensive play calling very well. Although he might not be an offensive coordinator, he might come in and help coach the wide receivers and maybe tight ends at Mississippi State. I could see it happening. I could see Jeff Lebby taking advantage of Oklahoma not wanting Kel Gundy anymore.
I don't see Kel Gundy taking a job anywhere.
Do you think he's done coaching?
Yeah. Oklahoma's the job he wanted. There's the only place he want to coach at.
Interesting. I don't know. I could just see it. I could see him making that call, and
I don't see it. I mean, why hasn't he had a job now? People know him. He's worked in the industry long enough to know. I think he's enjoying being done.
Maybe he's got future endeavors. Maybe he's going to go be a part of the sellout crowd.
Maybe.
No, so if you're an Oklahoma fan, for those of you who are complaining about Lebby this season and Lebby and his play calling, you're getting your wish. Yeah, be careful what you ask for.
He's gone. I don't think it's a bad thing, though. I think it's a great thing for him, and I think that it'd be a great thing for us. I mean, we've got guys that run a similar offense, so I think we'll be just fine.
We do, but
and they're more aggressive.
I'm not sold on Matt Wells or Seth Luttrell yet. I don't know why. I'm just in my mind. I'm going, are those the guys? I mean, honestly, you know who I would really love to have, but I don't. I think it's a very small chance you get him. Warren Ruggiero out of Wake Forest. He is one of the best RPO games in the country. Literally, it might be the best RPO game in the country. They have had a top. They've been one of the top 25 defense or offenses, scoring offenses for the past 6 seasons. Problem is, he's been out there with what's his name? I can't think of his name at the moment. His head coach. They've been together for like 13 years.
Okay.
So pulling him away from them from it's Dan something. I can't think of his last name.
You have to pay it, man. Dave Clawson.
Yeah, Dave Clawson. That's who it is. Yep, Dave Clawson.
You would
Pulling him away from Clawson is going to be hard.
Yeah, you have to pay. Well, I mean, honestly, I don't think it'd be that hard to get him away from there.
You don't think so?
No,
I think
we pay a lot more.
That Wake Forest offense, I think, would be perfect for the talent and the personnel that we have at Oklahoma.
I mean, like I said, he's put together the most prolific offense in college football history. He's always a Broyles Award-winning finalist.
Yeah,
always a nominee. Never fails.
Now, some people here. Now, how would you feel about Bobby Petrino? I don't think it's likely that happens, but how would you feel about Bobby Petrino being an offensive coordinator at Oklahoma?
You saw what he did at A&M, right?
I saw what he did at A&M, but I kind of wonder if he was calling the plays at A&M, if it was still Jimbo Fisher. I mean,
why would you bring in somebody that has a whole bunch of scandal that follows them? There's a reason why Bobby Petrino.
That's why I was asking. Hey, what do you think about Bobby Petrino? Because
no, yeah. When
you look at it, Bobby Petrino is still a great quarterback developer. Okay.
I say that for one reason. Same thing with Jimbo Fisher. When you have archaic offenses and you don't want to change or conform, there's a reason why you're not good at what you do.
What about Garrett Riley?
Why would he leave Clemson?
I get it. Just throwing it out there. Long shots. No. I think I texted you this list yesterday.
I know. But that's the thing about it. When you look at long shots, make sure there's still some realisticness there, right? Garrett's got that offense, and that's his. Now, the talent-wise, we've, of course, got more talent offensively than what Clemson's working with right now. And offensively, we've shown it because statistically we're putting up the numbers. But I don't see Garrett leaving a job after a year on it. He's also O'Reilly. People would lose their minds here. And even though he has nothing to do with his brother, I would take Garrett in a heartbeat, but I don't think that he would come here for that, mainly because he wasn't able to figure out with K Klubnik. We thought that he would make K Klubnik look better, and he didn't. They actually look worse without DJU. So
it's their first year in the system, though. I mean,
fair, but that system is built to make things very easy for the quarterback.
Okay.
See what I mean? Like, that's what his system is built on. It's very easy to grasp and to execute on, and they just didn't execute on. If you want to look at some long shots that actually have a chance, like I'd say your long shots need to have at least a 20% chance. That's a fair number to look at.
Emmett Jones. Because Emmett Jones,
if you keep it eternally, sure.
You know he wants to be a head coach, and I think the next step to get there is to not be an offensive coordinator. He wanted the Kansas head coaching job.
I mean, of course he wanted that one because he was there. But is he really? Because I know when he came in, he said that he wanted to help build something here. And that feels like him staying around even in the capacity of wide receiver for a few years. But I don't. Has he run an offense before?
Yeah, at Kansas, at Texas Tech.
Like he was an OC there.
Yeah, and I mean he did it at some of the biggest Texas high school football.
So, I mean, I know he was OC at Skyline High in Texas, and he was the head coach at
he was the assistant coach at Dallas Lincoln High School. He was the offensive coordinator at Skyline High School. He was the head coach.
OC at the collegiate level.
Yeah, he was head coach at South Oak. He was wide receivers coach at Tech and Kansas. He was the wide receivers coach and passing game coordinator at Kansas. Then he went back to Texas Tech to be the wide receiver and passing game coordinator. So no OC job in college,
and he's the passing game coordinator here. So to me, it feels like that will be his focus forward.
Okay.
The question is, what offense is he going to run? Right. But I mean, I don't think that's bad. I think if you do anything here, you run with either Seth Luttrell or Matt Wells, who's put up some pretty good offenses in their day at head coaches. Wells will be a great quarterback developer for you. I mean, we've seen him do some stuff at Utah. I mean, he did some stuff at Tech. Tech put up some numbers. And remember, Emmett Jones worked with them at Tech.
Okay.
That's your one to look at. Let me see. And then of course, I'm trying to think who else. Let me see. Latrell's offenses were really good at North Texas. So,
but it's North Texas. So how much stock am I going to put into a North Texas offense?
I'd put a lot of stock in it. I mean, look at Lincoln Riley did at ECU, and then he brought it here.
You're not really comparing Lincoln Riley to Seth Luttrell right now, are you?
Yeah, I am. Because remember, Lincoln worked underneath Mike Leach. So he's under Leach. Luttrell, let me see, who was Luttrell underneath? Huh.
Luttrell played during the Leach era, right?
He played. He coached under Leach. He's an assistant underneath Leach. He's running back coach underneath Leach. So same tree. Followed. Boom. He was an offensive coordinator over at Indiana. Now, if I'm correct, that was under was that the Kevin Wilson era?
Was it?
I believe that was. He ran offenses at Arizona. He was OC at North Carolina under Fedora in 14-15. And they were 11-3 in first place in the Coastal Division. And so, I mean, he took a North Texas team. He was a 500 coach, but I mean, he went 9-5 his second year there.
Okay. Is there any other names you'd throw out for this OC job? And go ahead and help me debunk the OC that everybody here at Oklahoma always seems to mention when we talk about replacing Jeff Lebby.
No,
tell everybody that's not going to happen, because I don't want people jumping in the comments.
No. Why do we keep talking about Joe Brady as if Joe Brady is a coach that's actually wanting to come back to college?
Because that 2019 LSU offense.
That he was handed the keys to a Maserati. He went out there and drove it. And what'd he say? I hate recruiting. And you know what you do more today than you did back when he was coaching?
Recruit.
So why would he go to a place where he works 4 times as hard? I mean, you make more money for the most part, but he's in the NFL and he's OC of the Buffalo Bills right now.
I think a lot of people are looking at it and going, is Joe Brady going to be the OC at the Buffalo Bills for much longer?
I see it. Unless McDermott gets fired, I don't think they get rid of him.
We don't have Jance here to talk about it, so I guess we can't really.
That's the question is if McDermott gets fired. I don't see Joe Brady leaving the NFL ranks. Somebody else is going to hire him as a quarterback coach.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now, if Oklahoma wanted him to just come in and solely recruit quarterbacks and coach quarterbacks, I would not be sad with that. But he's not going to be an OC. He's not going to be recruiting at a high level. He's not going to go.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Yeah. As your OC, you still
he would be the highest paid quarterback coach in all of college football.
Yeah, nobody would do that. Oklahoma wouldn't do that.
And he don't develop quarterbacks that well. Come on.
Exactly.
I mean, now, like, if that man put out 5 straight #1 picks, maybe you go pay him that much. But he's not doing that to everybody. So,
right.
But
You'll bring Luttrell in to be tight end coach when most likely Joe John Finley follows his boy, which is Jeff Lebby. You do.
Now, does Oklahoma try to offer Joe John the offensive coordinator job?
No.
Okay.
No. I don't see that happening. I think Joe John follows his boy and goes to be OC with Lebby.
Now, the only coach that we haven't talked about on the offensive staff, well, I guess we haven't talked about DeMarco, but DeMarco's not leaving with Jeff.
Yeah,
the only coach we haven't talked about is Bill Bedenbaugh.
Well, Bedenbaugh was offensive coordinator at Arizona with Mike Stoops, and he has offensive coordinating experience.
The question is, does he want to? Well, and the thing is, I guess not even leaving Oklahoma to go be an offensive coordinator at Mississippi State, but just leaving with Jeff Lebby to go be offensive line coach at Mississippi State.
Yeah,
do you think it's a possibility Bill Bedenbaugh leaves it all? I mean, he didn't leave with Riley; he stayed here. Do you think?
Right.
Do you think he's a forever Sooner at this point?
Yeah, he's a forever Sooner at this point. I mean, he started his career under the Mike Leach regime, right? So he was underneath Leach at Tech. So basically, all these coaches that I'm naming that we have on our staff, all came from the Leach era. So they're all used to air raid type stuff. RIP to the Pirate. So he spent his time at Tech, and then he followed Mike, and he went to Arizona. So yeah, he was Arizona's OC in 2010.
Okay. All right. Well, and Jay, the best college football rivalry is on right now, and they're already cheating. Michigan's already cheating against Ohio State guys, so we got to go out here and watch.
People gonna come after you for that one. You probably shouldn't put that on tape.
Oh boy, no. You know what? Listen, if Michigan goes out here and wins this game today, the cheating thing goes behind the door. It's no longer a conversation. So, but no, I seriously do. I have to go watch this Ohio State Michigan game. So, and I'm sure Jay wants to watch it as well because Texas A&M and LSU's on. We got quite a few games on. Although y'all will be seeing this on Sunday, so those games will not be on when you watch this. But Jay, go ahead and tell people where they can find you.
Find me on YouTube, Unfair Sports, and wherever podcasts are downloaded and listened to. Thanks again, PG. We'll chop it up soon.
Oh, no, yeah, you're welcome, guys. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're tuning in all throughout the week. We're going to be talking about the visitors that were on campus for Oklahoma. Nothing too special this week. Hey, it was a holiday weekend. You didn't expect there to be a ton of recruits on campus for Oklahoma anyways, but Oklahoma is making strides on the recruiting trail, especially in 2025, so we'll be talking about that all week. So make sure you guys are tuning in for that. But, hey, maybe until the Big 12 championship game, we'll see. Oklahoma State's got to go out there and be Oklahoma State. We will see you guys later.